Achievement has no color. A house divided cannot stand. Whatever you are, be a good one. No man is poor who has a godly mother. The ballot is stronger than the bullet. All I have learned, I learned from books. Avoid popularity if you would have peace. I'm a slow walker, but I never walk back. I am a slow walker, but I never walk back. Writing is the great invention of the world. You cannot have the right to do what is wrong. Every man is said to have his peculiar ambition. I can make more generals, but horses cost money. I will prepare, and someday my chance will come. Every man over 40 is responsible for his face. If I were two-faced, would I be wearing this one? Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Important principles may, and must, be inflexible. With the catching ends the pleasures of the chase. To ease another's heartache is to forget one's own. If they do kill me, I shall never die another death. The best way to predict your future is to create it. What kills a skunk is the publicity it gives itself. But for this book we could not know right from wrong. He has a right to criticize, who has a heart to help. Seriously, I do not think I am fit for the presidency. All that I am or hope to be, I owe to my angel mother. No man has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. True patriotism is better than the wrong kind of piety. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? Those who look for the bad in people will surely find it. With high hope for the future, no prediction is ventured. I laugh because I must not cry. That is all, that is all. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. The better part of one's life consists of his friendships. All that I am or ever hope to be, I owe to my angel mother. Force is all-conquering, but its victories are short-lived. Marriage is neither heaven nor hell, it is simply purgatory. Tact, the ability to describe others as they see themselves. Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. God must have loved the plain people. He made so many of them. I would rather be a little nobody than to be an evil somebody. Tact is the ability to describe others as they see themselves. Most folk are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. The best way to get a bad law repealed is to enforce it strictly. Have I not destroyed my enemy when I have made him into my friend? The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. You cannot lift the wage earner up by pulling the wage payer down. That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom. Folks are usually about as happy as they make their minds up to be. My best friend is a person who will give me a book I have not read. Hold on with a bulldog grip and chew and choke as much as possible. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. A woman is the only thing I am afraid of that I know will not hurt me. If any man ceases to attack me, I never remember the past against him. Get books, sit yourself down anywhere, and go to reading them yourself. I am naturally anti-slavery. If slavery is not wrong, nothing is wrong. I have always found that mercy bears richer fruits than strict justice. Determine that the thing can and shall be done, and then find the way. I am growing old enough not to care much for the manner of doing things. The best thing about the future is that it comes only one day at a time. Democracy is the government of the people by the people for the people. I am not concerned that you have fallen. I am concerned that you arise. No man is good enough to govern another man without that other's consent. No matter how much cats fight, there always seem to be plenty of kittens. Your own resolution to success is more important than any other one thing. I have great respect for the semicolon. It is a mighty handy little fellow. When I do good, I feel good. When I do bad, I feel bad. That's my religion. The Lord prefers common-looking people. That is why He made so many of them. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I never had a policy. I have just tried to do my very best each and every day. It has been my experience that folks who have no vices have very few virtues. Lincoln on Grant. He makes things get. Wherever he is, he makes things move. Were it not for my little jokes, I could not bear the burdens of this office. If people see the Capitol going on, it is a sign we intend the Union shall go on. The people will save their government, if the government itself will allow them. Gold is good in its place, but loving, brave, patriotic men are better than gold. I care not much for a man's religion whose dog and cat are not the better for it. The struggle of today is not altogether for today, it is for a vast future also. I have found that most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. If friendship is your weakest point, then you are the strongest person in the world. If this country is ever demoralized, it will come from trying to live without work. If there is anything that a man can do well, I say let him do it. Give him a chance. That some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. Let no feeling of discouragement prey upon you, and in the end you are sure to succeed. And in the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years. Books serve to show a man that those original thoughts of his aren't very new after all. Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Honest statesmanship is the wise employment of individual meannesses for the public good. I claim not to have controlled events, but confess plainly that events have controlled me. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. What is conservatism? Is it not adherence to the old and tried against the new and untried? Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any one thing. If this is coffee, please bring me some tea. But if this is tea, please bring me some coffee. If you don't want to use the army, I should like to borrow it for a while. Yours respectfully. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. We trust, sir, that God is on our side. It is more important to know that we are on God's side. I don't know who my grandfather was. I am much more concerned to know what his grandson will be. The highest art is always the most religious, and the greatest artist is always a devout person. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep on doing so until the end. We trust, sir, that God is on our side. It is more important to know that we are on God's side. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to success is more important than any other one thing. I remember my mother's prayers, and they have always followed me. They have clung to me all my life. Republicans are for both the man and the dollar, but in case of conflict, the man before the dollar. My greatest concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are concerned with your failure. The things I want to know are in books. My best friend is the man who'll get me a book I ain't read. The philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next. There is another old poet whose name I do not now remember, who said, "Truth is the daughter of time." What is to be will be, and no prayers of ours can arrest the decree. Without the assistance of the divine being, cannot succeed. With that assistance I cannot fail. It will not do to investigate the subject of religion too closely, as it is apt to lead to infidelity. The fiery trials through which we pass will light us down in honor or dishonor to the last generation. Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally. My dream is of a place and a time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope of earth. When you have got an elephant by the hind legs and he is trying to run away, it is best to let him run. I sincerely wish war was a pleasanter and easier business than it is, but it does not admit of holidays. Be with a leader when he is right, stay with him when he is still right, but leave him when he is wrong. I'm a success today because I had a friend who believed in me, and I didn't have the heart to let him down. If once you forfeit the confidence of your fellow citizens, you can never regain their respect and esteem. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under a just God cannot long retain it. I was a little cross. I ask pardon. If I do get up a little temper, I have no sufficient time to keep it up. Hypocrite. The man who murdered his parents, and then pleaded for mercy on the grounds that he was an orphan. Public opinion, though often formed upon a wrong basis, yet generally has a strong underlying sense of justice. I hope to stand firm enough to not go backward, and yet not go forward fast enough to wreck the country's cause. One company can serve some of your needs all of the time, or all of your needs some of the time, but never both. My concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. Character is like a tree and reputation its shadow. The shadow is what we think it is, and the tree is the real thing. Must a government of necessity be too strong for the liberties of its people, or too weak to maintain its own existence? Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. That some should be rich shows that others may become rich, and hence is just encouragement to industry and enterprise. Let us have faith that right makes might, and in that faith let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand it. The probability that we may fail in the struggle ought not to deter us from the support of a cause we believe to be just. Don't interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties. It is difficult to make a man miserable while he feels worthy of himself and claims kindred to the great God who made him. This struggle and scramble for office, for a way to live without work, will finally test the strength of our institutions. A house divided against itself cannot stand. I believe this government cannot endure permanently half slave and half free. I don't like to hear cut and dried sermons. No, when I hear a man preach, I like to see him act as if he were fighting bees. I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live up to what light I have. To believe in the things you can see and touch is no belief at all, but to believe in the unseen is a triumph and a blessing. America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. I shall try to correct errors when shown to be errors, and I shall adopt new views so fast as they shall appear to be new views. In times like the present, men should utter nothing for which they would not willingly be responsible through time and eternity. If I were to try to read, much less answer, all the attacks made on me, this shop might as well be closed for any other business. If there is anything that links the human to the divine, it is the courage to stand by a principle when everybody else rejects it. These men ask for just the same thing, fairness and fairness only. This, so far as in my power, they and all others shall have. I want it said of me by those who knew me best, that I always plucked a thistle and planted a flower where I thought a flower would grow. The Bible is not my book nor Christianity my profession. I could never give assent to the long, complicated statements of Christian dogma. You can fool some of the people all of the time, and all of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. I believe the Bible is the best gift God has ever given to man. All the good from the Savior of the world is communicated to us through this book. You can have no oath registered in heaven to destroy the government, while I shall have the most solemn one to preserve, protect, and defend it. When I get ready to talk to people, I spend 2/3 of the time thinking what they want to hear and 1/3 thinking about what I want to say. There has never been but one question in all civilization: how to keep a few men from saying to many men, "You work and earn bread and we will eat it." It is my pleasure that my children are free and happy and unrestrained by parental tyranny. Love is the chain whereby to bind a child to its parents. Congressmen who willfully take action during wartime that damages morale and undermine the military are saboteurs, and should be arrested, exiled, or hung. Surely God would not have created such a being as man, with an ability to grasp the infinite, to exist only for a day. No, man was made for immortality. We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. I have come to the conclusion never again to think of marrying, and for this reason, I can never be satisfied with anyone who would be blockhead enough to have me. I am humble Abraham Lincoln. I have been solicited by my friends to become a candidate for the legislature. My politics are short and sweet, like the old woman's dance. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this, to the extent of the difference, is no democracy. I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts and beer. Elections belong to the people. It's their decision. If they decide to turn their back on the fire and burn their behinds, then they will just have to sit on their blisters. For 47 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. I have been driven many times to my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. My own wisdom and that of all about me seemed insufficient for the day. In this sad world of ours, sorrow comes to all, and to the young, it comes with bitterest agony because it takes them unawares. I have had experience enough to know what I say. Take all that you can of this book upon reason, and the balance on faith, and you will live and die a happier man. When a skeptic expressed surprise to see him reading a Bible, in great contests each party claims to act in accordance with the will of God. Both may be and one must be wrong. God cannot be for and against the same thing at the same time. I can see how it might be possible for a man to look down upon the earth and be an atheist, but I cannot conceive how a man could look up into the heavens and say there is no God. The more sects we have, the better. They are all getting somebody in to the church that the others could not, and even with the numerous divisions we are all doing tolerably well. In giving freedom to the slave, we assure freedom to the free, honorable alike in what we give and what we preserve. We shall nobly save, or meanly lose, the last best hope of earth. While the people retain their virtue and vigilance, no administration, by any extreme of wickedness or folly, can very seriously injure the government in the short space of 4 years. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds. Discourage litigation. Persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. As a peacemaker, the lawyer has superior opportunity of being a good man. There will still be business enough. The assertion that all men are created equal was of no practical use in effecting our separation from Great Britain, and it was placed in the Declaration not for that, but for future use. You can have anything you want if you want it badly enough. You can be anything you want to be, do anything you set out to accomplish if you hold to that desire with singleness of purpose. I feel like the man who was tarred and feathered and ridden out of town on a rail. To the man who asked how he liked it, he said, "If it wasn't for the honor of the thing, I'd rather walk." Upon the subject of education, not presuming to dictate any plan or system respecting it, I can only say that I view it as the most important subject which we as a people can be engaged in. Let not him who is houseless pull down the house of another, but let him work diligently and build one for himself, thus by example assuring that his own shall be safe from violence when built. Passion has helped us, but can do so no more. It will in future be our enemy. Reason, cold, calculating, unimpassioned reason, must furnish all the materials for our future support and defense. The legal right of the Southern people to reclaim their fugitives I have constantly admitted. The legal right of Congress to interfere with their institution in the states, I have constantly denied. It is not in our forming battlements or bristling seacoasts, or our army and navy that makes America great, but rather our reliance in the law of liberty and the religious law God has planted in us. In your temporary failure there is no evidence that you may not yet be a better scholar, and a more successful man in the great struggle of life, than many others who have entered college more easily. I desire so to conduct the affairs of this administration that if at the end I have lost every other friend on earth, I shall at least have one friend left, and that friend shall be down inside of me. Our defense is in the preservation of the spirit which prizes liberty as a heritage of all men, in all lands, everywhere. Destroy this spirit, and you have planted the seeds of despotism around your own doors. The legitimate object of government is to do for a community of people whatever they need to have done, but cannot do it all or cannot so well do for themselves in their separate and individual capacities. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. Writing, the art of communicating thoughts to the mind through the eye, is the great invention of the world, enabling us to converse with the dead, the absent, and the unborn at all distances of time and space. It was that which gave promise that in due time the weights should be lifted from the shoulders of all men, and that all should have an equal chance. This is the sentiment embodied in that Declaration of Independence. Extemporaneous speaking should be practiced and cultivated. It is the lawyer's avenue to the public. However able and faithful he may be in other respects, people are slow to bring him business if he cannot make a speech. Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital and deserves much the higher consideration. In this age, in this country, public sentiment is everything. With it, nothing can fail. Against it, nothing can succeed. Whoever molds public sentiment goes deeper than he who enacts statutes or pronounces judicial decisions. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. President Abraham Lincoln, Gettysburg Address, November 19, 1863 inch. Let every American, every lover of liberty, every well-wisher to his posterity, swear by the blood of the Revolution, never to violate in the least particular the laws of the country, and never to tolerate their violation by others. I may be wrong in regard to any or all of them, but holding it a sound maxim that it is better to be only sometimes right than at all times wrong, so soon as I discover my opinions to be erroneous, I shall be ready to renounce them. We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Whatever woman may cast her lot with mine, should any ever do so, it is my intention to do all in my power to make her happy and contented, and there is nothing I can imagine that would make me more unhappy than to fail in the effort. That I am not a member of any Christian church is true, but I have never denied the truth of the Scriptures, and I have never spoken with intentional disrespect of religion in general, or of any denomination of Christians in particular. I desire so to conduct the affairs of this administration that if at the end when I come to lay down the reins of ewer I have lost every other friend on earth, I shall at st have one friend left, and that friend shall be down inside of me. If by the mere force of numbers a majority should deprive a minority of any clearly written constitutional right, it might in a moral point of view justify revolution. Certainly would if such right were a vital one. But such is not our case. Allow the President to invade a neighboring nation whenever he shall deem it necessary to repel an invasion, and you allow him to do so whenever he may choose to say he deems it necessary for such purpose, and you allow him to make war at pleasure. This country with its institutions belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it or their revolutionary right to dismember or overthrow it. No man was to be eulogized for what he did, or censured for what he did or did not do. All of us are the children of conditions, of circumstances, of environment, of education, of acquired habits and of heredity, molding men as they are and will forever be. My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union, and is not either to save or to destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. A capacity and taste for reading gives access to whatever has already been discovered by others. It is the key or one of the keys to the already solved problems. And not only so, it gives a relish and facility for successfully pursuing the unsolved ones. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. We must disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country. Any people anywhere, being inclined and having the power, have the right to rise up and shake off the existing government and form a new one that suits them better. This is a most valuable, a most sacred right, a right which we hope and believe is to liberate the world. Slavery is founded in the selfishness of man's nature. Opposition to it is his love of justice. These principles are an eternal antagonism, and when brought into collision so fiercely, as slavery extension brings them, shocks and throes and convulsions must ceaselessly follow. Do not worry, eat 3 square meals a day, say your prayers, be courteous to your creditors, keep your digestion good, exercise, go slow and easy. Maybe there are other things your special case requires to make you happy, but my friend, these I reckon will give you a good life. My father removed from Kentucky to Indiana in my 8th year. It was a wild region, with many bears and other wild animals still in the woods. There I grew up. Of course, when I came of age, I did not know much. Still somehow I could read, write, and cipher, but that was all. It is not my nature, when I see a people borne down by the weight of their shackles, the oppression of tyranny, to make their life more bitter by heaping upon them greater burdens. But rather would I do all in my power to raise the yoke than to add anything that would tend to crush them. Our safety, our liberty, depends upon preserving the Constitution of the United States as our fathers made it inviolate. The people of the United States are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. We shall need all the anti-slavery feeling in the country and more. You can go home and try to bring the people to your views, and you may say anything you like about me if that will help. When the hour comes for dealing with slavery, I trust one will be willing to do my duty, though it cost my life. If the great American people will only keep their temper on both sides of the line, the troubles will come to an end, and the question which now distracts the country will be settled just as surely as all other difficulties of like character which have originated in this government have been adjusted. Repeal the Missouri Compromise, repeal all compromises, repeal the Declaration of Independence, repeal all past history, you still cannot repeal human nature. It will be the abundance of man's heart that slavery extension is wrong, and out of the abundance of his heart, his mouth will continue to speak. Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital and deserves much the higher consideration. And these capitalists generally act harmoniously and in concert to fleece the people. The mystic cords of memory, stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone, all over this broad land, will yet swell the chorus of the Union, when again touched, as surely they will be, by the better angels of our nature. As quoted in the River of Winged Dreams, in regards to this great book, I have but to say it is the best gift God has given to man. All the good the Savior gave to the world was communicated through this book. But for it we could not know right from wrong. All things most desirable for man's welfare, here and hereafter, are found portrayed in it. If you once forfeit the confidence of your fellow citizens, you can never regain their respect and esteem. It is true that you may fool all of the people some of the time. You can even fool some of the people all of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. Speech at Clinton, Illinois, September 8, 1854. For my part, I desire to see the time when education, and by its means morality, sobriety, enterprise, and industry, shall become much more general than at present, and should be gratified to have it in my power to contribute something to the advancement of any measure which might have a tendency to accelerate the happy period. I fear you do not fully comprehend the danger of abridging the liberties of the people. Nothing but the very sternest necessity can ever justify it. A government had better go to the very extreme of toleration than to do aught that could be construed into an interference with, or to jeopardize in any degree, the common rights of its citizens. In this sad world of ours, sorrow comes to all, and it often comes with bitter agony. Perfect relief is not possible except with time. You cannot now believe that you will ever feel better. But this is not true. You are sure to be happy again. Knowing this, truly believing it will make you less miserable now. I have had enough experience to make this statement. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle and for his widow and his orphan, to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. Abraham Lincoln was asked by an aide about the church service he had attended. Lincoln responded that the minister was inspired, interesting, well-prepared, eloquent, and the topic relevant. The aide said, "Then it was a good service?" Lincoln responded, "No," the aide protested. "But, Mr. President, you said that the minister was inspired, interesting, well-prepared, eloquent, and that the topic was relevant." "Yes," replied Lincoln, "but he didn't challenge us to do any great thing." Allow the president to invade a neighboring nation, whenever he shall deem it necessary to repel an invasion, and you allow him to do so whenever he may choose to say he deems it necessary for such purpose. And you allow him to make war at pleasure. If today he should choose to say he thinks it necessary to invade Canada to prevent the British from invading us, how could you stop him? You may say to him, "I see no probability of the British invading us," but he will say to you, "Be silent. I see it if you don't." My dear sir, yours of the 13th is just received. My engagements are such that I cannot, at any very early day, visit Rock Island to deliver a lecture or for any other object. As to the other matter you kindly mention, I must, in candor, say I do not think myself fit for the presidency. I certainly am flattered and gratified that some partial friends think of me in that connection. But I really think it best for our cause that no concerted effort, such as you suggest, should be made. Let this be considered confidential. Yours very truly, Abraham Lincoln. In this sad world of ours, sorrow comes to all, and to the young, it comes with bitterest agony, because it takes them unawares. The older have learned to ever expect it. I am anxious to afford some alleviation of your present distress. Perfect relief is not possible except with time. You cannot now realize that you will ever feel better. Is not this so? And yet it is a mistake. You are sure to be happy again. To know this, which is certainly true, will make you some less miserable now. I have had experience enough to know what I say, and you need only to believe it to feel better at once.